My name's Doug from the Full Earth Workshop, and today I'm going to be showing you the quirky house where I live, because I'm kind of a quirky guy. But look right behind me here. You can see a whole bunch of 1/6 scale astronauts, and most of these I created myself. A few I was lucky enough to be able to buy as is. But today we're going to be talking about not only the history of each one of these astronauts, but we're also going to be showing you how I made these. So let's get to it.
Time of heroes. Aviation was very much an adventure.
Go on and see in about 6 days.
Wiley Post was an early aviation pioneer, known as the first man to navigate the globe in an airplane. He later teamed up with B.F. Goodrich, the tire people, to develop the world's first pressure suit. As technology improved, Post understood that his twin-engined airplane did not have enough speed to set new world records. He discovered that flying in the stratosphere would allow him to go faster. So he teamed up with B.F. Goodrich to come up with this very odd-looking suit, which borrowed quite a bit from undersea hardware. The donor for the white deep-sea suit was G.I. Joe's deep-sea diver that was introduced back in the 60s and reintroduced in the 90s. The boots, gloves, and parachute harness were purchased on eBay, and the helmet along with his compressor are available on the Shapeways shop for Flat Earth Workshop. Just follow the link in the comments below because the Full Earth Workshop has created an entire video on how to make this 1/6 character. One of my favorite astronaut heroes has got to be John Glenn. He was from a small town in Ohio and became the nation's first astronaut in orbit.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
He was the first American to fly on a troublesome Atlas rocket that had a tendency to blow up. He was a brave man.
Roger, backup clock is started. Fuel 102, 101, oxygen 78, 100, amps 27. Roger, loud and clear, flight path is good, 69. Roger, keep is go and I am go. Our capsule is in good shape.
Luckily, there was a G.I. Joe figure in the 1960s and then updated in the 90s that you can use for a donor astronaut. This particular figure uses the foil silver suit from the 1960s figure. And these parts are all created by the Full Earth Workshop and sold on the Flat Earth Workshop on Shapeways. All of the harnesses can be either made from small 5mm webbing, or you can make it from athletic tape in white. Fold over a few layers of the tape in the right width, and it looks like the real thing.
All systems are go.
America's first astronaut to walk in space was also America's first athlete astronaut. We're talking about Ed White. He graduated from West Point, and while he was there, he missed making the U.S. Olympic team in the 400-meter hurdle by only 0.4 of a second.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition start. Liftoff.
Flight departure started.
We have a roll program initiated.
I feel out. Okay, I put a little roll in, took it right out. Okay, I'm right by the front antenna now. I had very good control with it. I just needed more air. I've exhausted the fuel now.
Ed White was such an excellent physical specimen that he made walking in space look much easier than it turned out to be. Later flights would be a little bit troublesome until they figured out some new methods to do an EVA. I've discovered several different ways to make an Ed White suit from Gemini 4. The availability of the white suit is the most important aspect. This particular suit is based on the very nice Damn Toys SR-71 pilot figure. However, that figure has become very expensive recently. So if that figure is not available or not an option, just look for a 1/6 scale white flight suit available from any vendor online. Once you locate a white flight suit, you're in a lot better place because the hardware is available on the Shapeways store. We have a very detailed helmet along with the rotation bearings, the suit fittings, the zip gun that Ed White used to move around during his EVA, and also the ventilation control module that he wore on his chest. If you're considering building this figure, I highly recommend that you navigate on over to the Full Earth Workshop step-by-step instructions. One of the first astronauts I ever met was this American hero, Buzz Aldrin. known by his fellow astronauts as Dr. Rendezvous because he had a PhD in that subject from MIT. Several astronauts say that Buzz had a very quirky personality, but they all agreed he was brilliant. After his extremely successful Gemini 12 EVA, he was chosen to be on the prime crew of the most famous space mission of all time. On July 19, 1969, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong became the first men to walk on the moon.
And we're getting a picture on the TV. Both hands down about the fourth rung up. There you go. Beautiful view. Isn't that something? Magnificent desolation. For those who haven't read the plaque, we'll read the plaque that's on the front landing gear of this LEM. There's two hemispheres, one showing each of the two hemispheres of Earth. Underneath it says, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. It came in peace for all mankind."
The moonwalk on Apollo 11 only lasted about 2.5 hours. How would you like to spend 3 days on the moon's surface? Well, this guy did. Time to meet astronaut hero Gene Cernan. His career started with tragedy. With the loss of astronauts C and Bassett, he became prime crew for Gemini 9 along with Tom Stafford. Apollo 10 took him nearly to the moon's surface, and then Apollo 17.
Roger, we're go for liftoff here, Captain.
Congressional budget cutbacks had limited Apollo's missions from 20 down to 17, and this mission would be the last one for Apollo to land on the moon. This mission would be a little bit different. Harrison Schmitt, who was also a certified geologist, was on board. He and Gene Cernan would roam the moon and make amazing
I'd like
discoveries.
to dedicate the first step of Apollo 17 to all those who made it possible.
The suit you see on display here was entirely made by Hobbymaster. I haven't touched it a bit. This figure is amazing. If you look at the close-up details, you'll notice that Gene Cernan's face sculpt is first class, much better than the likeness of Buzz Aldrin on the Dragon suit previously. This suit is a little bit different than Buzz Aldrin's suit. It's the A7LB. The A7L was worn on Apollos 11 through 14. It had a vertical array of life support fittings. You'll see that the A7LB has a horizontal layout so they could ride on the lunar rover during Apollo missions 15 through 17. Gene Cernan is still known as the last man on the moon. And we save one of the most celebrated astronauts for last. John Young is the only astronaut ever flight certified in 4 separate spacecraft. He flew Gemini, the Apollo Command Module, the Apollo Lunar Module, and the very first Space Shuttle Columbia on STS-1, known as the Space Transport System 1. STS-1 was a very risky mission. This vehicle had thousands of delicate silica tiles that protected the ship during re-entry, and they could fall off, no one knew. It also had never been flown by humans before. It had no engines for landing. There was only one chance to get it right.
4, we've gone for main engine start.
Columbia, Houston, you guys did so good, we're going to let you stay up there for a couple days. Your go for on orbit.
This suit is known as the LES, the Launch Entry Suit. It also includes a life preserver. You can see that in the bulge up on the chest. It was used just in case they would have to be recovered at sea, and that's the reason for the yellow color of the suit. It's actually a step back in technology. This suit was originally flown during the U-2 missions during the 1960s. It's based entirely on the Damn Toys Dragon Lady suit with very few modifications. A modified version of the suit was flown during the entire Space Shuttle program. And we'll stop at this point of space history. Thanks a lot for flying with me. We'll catch you next time.